stabilization.
I've got cricoid pressure for you.
Is here in your perfect eyes.
Running to 120, clear.
Grey's Anatomy's 10
Still
darkest
indecent.
medical cases that pushed every boundary. For nearly 2 decades, Grey's Anatomy has captivated audiences with dramatic storylines, emotional twists, and unforgettable medical cases. But some episodes took things further than anyone expected, showcasing cases so unsettling they left viewers shaken. Among the darkest? A man who swallowed 10 doll heads, forcing surgeons to extract them one by one. Then there was the young girl with SIPA, a rare condition that prevented her from feeling pain, leading her to self-harm without realizing the consequences. Fans also remember the heartbreaking case of a woman with fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, a disease that slowly turned her body into bone, leaving doctors powerless to help. Just as disturbing was the teenager misdiagnosed with schizophrenia, who, in reality, was hearing the sounds of her own organs due to an inner ear defect. The series has also delivered sheer shock value, from a patient with a tree growing in his lung, to a woman whose toxic blood poisoned an entire team, and the unforgettable case of a live bomb lodged in a man's chest, a moment that remains one of the most intense in television history. Other bizarre and haunting cases included a boy encased in cement, a patient with autobrewery syndrome that made his stomach produce alcohol, and the horrifying discovery of a spider living in a wart cluster. These cases prove that while Grey's Anatomy thrives on love, heartbreak, and survival, it also isn't afraid to explore the darkest and most disturbing corners of medicine. With Season 22 promising even bigger shocks after last year's explosive finale, fans can only wonder, what's the next unforgettable case? Hey lovely viewers, welcome to our channel Grey's Anatomy Official. Grey's Anatomy's 10 darkest medical cases that crossed every line. Grey's Anatomy has featured some extreme medical cases throughout its run that have left many viewers on edge. The high-intensity medical drama premiered on ABC in 2005 and has garnered a dedicated fanbase by featuring interesting characters with relatable personalities. Set to premiere in October, Grey's Anatomy Season 22 will pick up where Season 21 left off, with the characters dealing with a dramatic hostage situation, leading to a chaotic explosion and an unpredictable cliffhanger. The upcoming season will also address long-awaited questions, particularly surrounding the fate of characters like Dr. Atticus Lincoln. Of course, it's not just the characters that keep viewers coming back season after season. Grey's Anatomy, while not realistic, is incredibly entertaining, with many of its medical cases offering memorable episodes. Some, however, were incredibly dark and arguably went too far. Man Swallowed Doll Heads. Season 2, Episode 2, Enough is Enough. Grey's Anatomy has featured some unusual medical cases over the last 2 decades. In Season 2, Episode 2, titled Enough is Enough, the medical team had to treat a patient with a bowel obstruction. It was later discovered that the patient had ingested around 10 Judy doll heads, causing a blockage in his digestive tract. The episode showed the team removing each doll's head from the man's stomach, followed by a consultation with a psychiatrist. The disturbing nature of the case, involving children's toys, made it unsettling to watch. Girl with no pain sensation. Season 3, Episode 3. Sometimes a fantasy. In Season 3, Episode 3, a young girl named Megan arrived at the hospital with unexplained injuries. She claimed to have superpowers, saying she couldn't feel the pain. Although it initially appeared that she was pretending to be a superhero, doctors later discovered that she truly couldn't sense pain. They also found that she had asked another child to hit her with a baseball bat. Ultimately, Megan was diagnosed with SIPA, a genetic condition that prevented her from feeling pain. The aspect of self-harm in this medical case involving a child was disturbing to witness. Season 3, Episode 19. My Favorite Mistake, Episode 19 of Season 3, featured another eerie case where a woman came to the hospital with a stiff and rigid body. The doctors eventually diagnosed her with FOP, an incurable condition that turned her muscle and connective tissue into bone. The team was unable to perform surgery on her, as it could have triggered more bone growth. They had to release her without proper treatment, leaving her with little choice and hope. Despite the severity of her condition, what made the case particularly disturbing was the doctor's inability to help her, highlighting that a hospital isn't always a haven for everyone. Hearing internal organs. Season 6, Episode 22, Shiny Happy People. In Season 6, Episode 22, a teenage girl visited the hospital years after being treated for schizophrenia. She reported hearing voices and sounds inside her head, a common symptom of the brain disorder. However, it was later discovered that she had been misdiagnosed. Instead of hallucinations, she had a physical hole in her inner ear, allowing her to hear the unsettling sounds of her own organs. The girl had mistakenly believed she had schizophrenia when, in reality, she had an ear defect. This case was shocking due to the misdiagnosis and the girl's years of living with unexplained sounds. Tree growing in a lung. Season 7, Episode 21, I Will Survive. Episode 21 of Grey's Anatomy Season 7 featured a male patient who arrived at the hospital with a simple case of cough and chest pain. While on the surface it appeared to be a routine case, the doctors later discovered that he had something lodged in his lungs that didn't belong there. Upon further investigation, they found that the man had a tree growing inside his chest cavity. It was determined that a seed had become stuck in his lung and eventually germinated and sprouted. The case was bizarre and disturbing because of its unusual and shocking nature. Toxic blood in the oar. Season 3, Episode 14, Wishin' and Hopin'. In Grey's Anatomy Season 3, Episode 14, a female patient with terminal cancer was hurried into the operating room. As the team performed surgery, they all began to feel nauseated, only to realize the patient's blood had become chemically toxic from a reaction. It was revealed that the woman had taken a seemingly harmless herbal supplement with chemotherapy drugs, resulting in her blood becoming so poisonous that it even affected the surgeons operating on her. The episode caused nausea among viewers due to the depiction of a woman suffering from an unpredictable and frightening condition. Live bomb in chest. Season 2, Episode 17, As We Know It. Grey's Anatomy Season 2, Episode 17 featured a terrifying medical case involving a man who was impaled with a piece of metal. What initially seemed like a freak accident turned out to be a completely plausible situation. The surgeons discovered that the man had a live bomb lodged inside his chest. As it turns out, the man had been in a blast, and a piece of shrapnel containing an explosive charge had become embedded in his upper body. During the operation, Meredith did something remarkable by putting herself in danger by holding the bomb in place to prevent it from detonating. This case was particularly high stakes because Meredith was pregnant and the bomb could go off at any moment, potentially killing everyone in the operating room. Encased in Cement. Season 4, Episodes 16 and 17, Freedom. Parts 1 and 2, Episode 16 of Grey's Anatomy Season 4 featured another mysterious case involving a teenage child who became trapped in cement as a result of a dare. The medical team had to rescue him as he struggled with intense trauma and heat from being stuck in the cement. The surgeons carefully cut out portions to free him and worked to stabilize his body throughout the procedure. Although this medical case may have seemed less severe than others on this list, the claustrophobic nature of being trapped inside cement made it particularly difficult for many viewers to watch. Otto Brewery's Syndrome. Season 15, Episode 3, Gut Feeling. Grey's Anatomy Season 15, Episode 3 showed a man arriving at the hospital with a range of symptoms such as slurred speech, difficulty walking, and more. At first glance, he appeared intoxicated, but the doctors eventually determined that he was suffering from Otto Brewery syndrome. This rare condition resulted in excessive yeast growth in his gut. The condition effectively turned his stomach into a brewery that produced alcohol from the carbohydrates he consumed from his daily diet. The team of doctors had to think outside the box and develop a novel diet plan to help him manage his condition. Spider in Wart Cluster. Season 7, Episode 3, Super Freak. While the gut yeast case was difficult to watch, the case of the spider living in a wart cluster was even stranger. In Episode 3 of Grey's Anatomy Season 7, a patient came to the hospital with what appeared to be clusters of warts on his body. During surgery, the medical team discovered that these were actually small hives with a spider dwelling inside them. This rare case showcased a patient with an immune disorder, which led to uncontrollable wart growth, creating an ideal environment for the spider. It will be interesting to see how many more medical cases in the upcoming season of Grey's Anatomy will shock viewers. Grey's Anatomy actor Camilla Luddington says there are days she's better at work than at being a mom. Grey's Anatomy actor Camilla Luddington is getting real about what it takes to be on a hit show while raising two kids. In an interview with Parents published on Friday, Luddington spoke about the difficulties of juggling her filming schedule and her responsibilities as a mom. "I just accept that there is no balance," Luddington told Parents, adding she focuses on doing her best in each role depending on the day. "To take the pressure off, I'll be like, you know what? Today, I'm probably going to be better at my job than I am at parenting because I'm on set all day. But tomorrow I'm off and I can be a better parent," she said. "Letting go of that need to be perfectly balanced all the time has been very freeing for me." Luddington has played Dr. Jo Wilson on the hit medical drama since 2012. She has two kids with her husband, 13 Reasons Why actor Matthew Allen. When it comes to her two kids, ages 8 and 5, Luddington says that having space is sometimes the secret to harmony. "They want to play together and they want to be up against us, but they don't realize that they need time by themselves," Luddington said. At times, she and her husband will split the kids up, sending one out to play and the other to the room, she said. "They need that separation because they will be up in each other's business the entire day and drive each other and us crazy. Then they can appreciate the time they spend with us and each other," Luddington added. A representative for Luddington did not immediately respond to a request for comment sent by Business Insider outside regular hours. In a 2023 interview with New Beauty, Luddington said she's lucky to be on a show with a big cast that doesn't require her on set daily. "But there are days that go by where I've worked a couple of 12-hour days and I haven't seen my kids in 3 days. And that's hard. So the days that I have time off, I try to give them as much of my attention as I possibly can," she said. Luddington joins a list of female actors who've opened up about juggling work and parenting in Hollywood. Speaking to The Times in November, Keira Knightley said having kids meant putting her career on the back burner. "I couldn't go job to job abroad now. It wouldn't be in any way fair on them, and I wouldn't want to," Knightley said. "I've chosen to have children, I want to bring them up, so I've had to take a major step back." In May, Michelle Williams told Dax Shepard on the Armchair Expert podcast that balancing work and motherhood is like figuring out which master you're going to serve. Because the truth is, if work is going well, somebody else is taking care of the kids. And if you're in a high point with your kids, the work is shoved to the side, Williams said. Who survived the Grey's Anatomy explosion? An exclusive look at the season 22 premiere reveals clues. "We clearly saw Link in immediate danger," showrunner Meg Marinus teases of Chris Carmack's character. Season 21 of Grey's Anatomy ended with an explosion in one of the Grey Sloan Memorial operating rooms. Showrunner Meg Marinus breaks down who is in danger as the action picks up in the season 22 premiere, and exclusive photos provide more clues. Marinus also reveals how the new intern played by Trevor Jackson is mixing up the dynamics, and how much we can expect to see Ellen Pompeo's Meredith Grey this season. Grey's Anatomy finales are always explosive, but not usually in a literal sense. In May, the ABC drama concluded with a hostage situation resolved peacefully, only to be followed up with the last-minute surprise that an explosive gas had been released into one of the operating rooms. Just before the credits rolled, a ball of fire burst from Grey Sloan Memorial, leaving fans to wonder who is in danger. Now, Entertainment Weekly has exclusive photos from the season 22 premiere that provide a few answers. But just a few weeks ago, not even the writers knew who would survive. "I knew what I thought initially," showrunner Meg Marinus tells EW, "but I wanted to wait until my writers were back, so that people could also fight and argue with me. And so some things changed, some didn't. But I want to give everyone a chance to fight for what happens to specific characters. So who should we be worried about?" Monica Beltran and Jules Millen Adelaide Kane were on the floor preparing for surgery. Miranda Bailey, Chandra Wilson, was at the scheduling board, so also at risk. Teddy Altman, Kim Raver, and Lucas Adams were both separately on their way to find Richard Webber, so any of those three might have been nearby. Then there's Ben Warren, Jason George, who ran into the hospital the moment he saw the explosion. The one person we know was in one of the operating rooms is Link, Chris Carmack, who in the finale got married to Jo Wilson, Camilla Luddington, and found out the twins they're expecting are girls, so there are plenty of reasons the emotional stakes would be high if he's put in peril. "We clearly saw Link in immediate danger," Marinus confirms. "We'll just have to see whether Link makes it through this explosion." The exclusive Season 22 premiere photo above doesn't help matters, with Winston Dugu Anthony Hill holding back a clearly emotional Amelia Shepherd, who was once married to and co-parents a son with Link. Marinus confirms the premiere will pick up right where the Season 21 finale left off. "I wanted to return right to the chaos," she says. But there of course will be drama beyond the explosion, especially following the revelation that one of the new interns, played by Trevor Jackson, was the guy Simone Griffiths, Alexis Floyd, hooked up with the night before. "We will be seeing Trevor Jackson more, and he is an amazing person," says Marinus. "He's so talented. It's been so fun with him on set already, and he is definitely mixing up the dynamics between our resident cast members, specifically Simone and Lucas," she adds, referencing Adams and Griffith's currently complicated relationship. "There's definitely going to be ramifications of what happened at the end of last season. And while Meredith Grey, Ellen Pompeo, will continue to live in Boston, she'll come back for some episodes," Marinus confirms, as does the photo below. "We always communicate with Ellen and her team and work around her schedule, but she feels the show is very important to her," Marinus continues. "I just emailed with her this morning, and we'll see her on set the end of this week. We're just excited to have her back." Meredith started the Season 21 finale, planning to sell her shares of the hospital to fund her Alzheimer's research. But after inserting herself into the hostage situation and a little guilt-tripping from Weber, she ends the episode informing Catherine Fox, Debbie Allen, that she plans on spending her summers in Seattle and getting more time in her too, which feels like home to her. "I think the way that we did it in this season finale is a great way to do it," Marinus says of finding an organic way to allow Meredith to pop in and out of Grey Sloan. "It allows us to see the character in Seattle just as much as we see her in Boston, and we'll be able to see her maybe interact with our residents a little bit more, which is fun because Meredith is such an amazing teacher and this kind of rebellious surgeon that I think we've all come to love. Obviously she's going to be Meredith and we will probably see some role breaking at one point," Marinus adds. "I'm just lucky to have Ellen still as involved with the show as she is." Marinus says everyone's fate will be revealed in the premiere episode, but there's obviously going to be some hospital rebuilding that needs to happen. And so we're going to play the aftermath for more than just the first episode. Absolutely the emotional trauma as well as the hospital needing to be put back together. "Hey Grey's Anatomy, can you try focusing on Lucas' ADHD storyline? After 21 seasons, you would think that Grey's Anatomy would finally understand that its characters can have compelling story arcs outside of their messy love lives. However, when it comes to the interns, or rather residents now, it's evident that they will still recycle the same things over and over again rather than focus on any more compelling angle for one of their characters. A prime example of this is with Lucas and how the series has seemingly abandoned his neurodivergency arc. Lucas' story arcs have been somewhat interesting but repetitive, too. Admittedly, the appeal of Lucas and Simone was pretty great back in Grey's Anatomy Season 20 when it felt as if they were nodding at the early days of the series with this group of interns, either with direct ties to the OG crew, Lucas, or with similar personalities or lore to match the original MAGIC. However, since then, they've devolved into yet another messy couple, stuck in a cyclical loop of problematic behaviors and an inability to be together in a healthy or compatible manner. Why Grey's Anatomy's Camilla Luddington says season premiere is even crazier than finale. Ahead of Grey's Anatomy's Season 22 premiere in October, Camilla Luddington exclusively teased to E! News how the shocking Season 21 finale sets the stage for an even crazier return. Camilla Luddington is teasing a heart-pounding return for Grey's Anatomy this fall. The Shonda Rhimes series ended Season 21 with a quite literally explosive finale, and the actress, who has played Dr. Jo Wilson on the show for nearly 14 years, shared that returning for the upcoming Season 22 premiere has been difficult. "There are some premieres that I'm excited to come back and film," Camilla told E! News in an exclusive interview. "We've had some really funny openers in this one. I think I can say this, I was really dreading." As she put it, "The finale was crazy. Our premiere is even crazier. There is so much going on." Considering the last episode ended on a cliffhanger, leaving the fate of Jo's new husband, Dr. Atticus Lincoln, Chris Carmack, up in the air, Camilla was anxious for what was to come, adding, "I had to take a deep breath going back. It's been a lot." Since returning to work on Grey's in July, the 41-year-old admitted the premiere, which will air on ABC October 9th, has been hanging over her head. I don't even know how they're gonna film it in regular filming days, like this should be a 3-week movie, she added. It's wild. There's so much going on. There's so much action nonstop. I think viewers are gonna be really excited to watch, but also there's some hard moments. It'll be understandably hard for Jo. It's a rough episode for her, Camilla noted. It's really rough. Given the emotional exhaustion Camilla has faced with her latest Grey storyline, she has been utilizing every mom hack in the book for her and husband Matthew Allen's kids Hayden, 7, and Lucas, 5. Indeed, the couple are currently juggling work and childcare on their own, and Camilla has made packing school lunches one less thing to worry about through her partnership with Gedimus. From Gerber. One of the most frustrating things as a mom is that your kid comes home, you open the backpack up, you open the food up, and they're like, everything's still there, and they're like, I'm hungry, she explained. You're like, you didn't eat your lunch. What I love about this snack is that it gets in their lunchbox. At least I know that section is going to be eaten. Camilla admits she also keeps a stash in her car, which makes the drive home from work and school much easier. My kids are so hangry when they get home from school, she detailed. That car ride is one of my least favorite car rides in the world. But when she has Gedimus on hand, Camilla added, I'll have a peaceful car ride. The upcoming Grey's Anatomy episode may be one of the most shocking yet, but keep reading for a look back on some of the show's most memorable moments. From booty call to boss. Incoming surgical intern Meredith Grey was thrown for quite a loop in Grey's Anatomy's series premiere when she learned that the hunky one-night stand she picked up at the bar played by Patrick Dempsey was actually her new boss, renowned surgeon Dr. Derek Shepherd. Oops. Addison's arrival. Fans were just as stunned as poor Meredith in the Season 1 finale when Addison Montgomery, Kate Walsh, waltzed into Seattle Grace and right up to Maren Derek, introducing herself with the now iconic, You must be the woman who's been screwing my husband. Bombs away. When Grey's Anatomy was given the plum post-Super Bowl slot in its second season, fans watched tensely as Meredith decided to shove her hand into a body cavity containing a live explosive to keep it from detonating. And just as we began to breathe a sigh of relief when Bomb Squad Chief Dylan, guest star Kyle Chandler, began to walk away with the removed explosive, it blew, taking the poor guy out in the process. Denny's demise. Fans watched as Izzy, Katherine Heigl, fell in love with the effortlessly charming Denny Duquette, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, as he awaited a much-needed heart transplant throughout the second half of Season 2, falling for him right along with her. And when her wild plan to cut his LVAD wire to move him up the transplant list failed spectacularly, resulting in his death in the season finale, it was confirmed that Grey's Anatomy was not here to give us the happy endings we wanted. Meredith's near-death experience. What was more surprising during Season 3's big ferry accident? Meredith nearly drowning after being knocked into freezing cold waters at the accident site, or her later admission that she'd given up trying to survive? Lexi's arrival. At the end of Season 3, a surgical intern named Lexi Kyler Lee arrived at Seattle Grace, first meeting Derek the night prior to starting at the hospital in a moment that mirrored his first interaction with Mare 2 seasons prior, but thankfully did not end with them sleeping together, and then introducing herself to George O'Malley T.R. Knight in the intern locker room. Oh, and her last name? Why, Grey, of course. And just like that, Meredith's younger half-sister, one of 2 daughters raised by her father Thatcher and his second wife Susan, was added to the mix. Ghost Denny. 2.5 seasons after he'd perished, Denny was back and his ghost was having sex with Izzy. In one of the most ludicrous moments in the show's history, Ghost Denny was used to signal to viewers and to Izzy herself that something was wrong. That something was ultimately proven to be stage 4 metastatic melanoma, which had spread to, among other places, her brain. It's George. While fans were expecting Izzy to bite the bullet in the Season 5 finale, the fact that no one could find George should have clued us into the fact that something was up with poor O'Malley. When Meredith finally realized what the John Doe who'd been hit by a bus while trying to save a woman on the street was writing in her hand, 007, his cruel nickname in earlier seasons, she tried to alert the surgeons working on him. But it was too late. He flatlined and died. The shooting. File this one under the most disturbing episode in Grey's history. In the Season 6 finale, the grieving husband of a deceased patient arrived at the hospital, fresh off its merger with neighboring Mercy West, with a loaded gun and nothing left to live for. A few doctors were murdered, several more injured, and the image of Bailey Chunder-Wilson being dragged by her feet out from under a patient's bed will forever haunt us. Thankfully, she survived. Mare and Derek's baby wasn't so lucky. After he was shot, she believed he'd died and had a traumatic miscarriage. The plane crash. 2 seasons after the horrific hospital shooting, Shonda Rhimes decided it was time to torture a handful of docs yet again. In the 8th season finale, a plane carrying Meredith, Derek, Christina Young, Sandra Oh, Lexi, Mark Sloan, Eric Dane, and Arizona Robbins, Jessica Capshaw, traveling to Boise, Idaho to perform surgery on conjoined twins, crashed in the wilderness, leaving them stranded and wounded, with no one at home even knowing they'd gone down. The accident claimed Mark and Lexi's lives and Arizona's leg, while nearly leaving Derek's hand permanently injured. Burke's return. How would Grey's send off Mare's person Christina at the end of season 10 after Sandra Oh decided to move on? Why, by having ex-Preston Burke, Isaiah Washington, pop back up after leaving her at the altar in season 3 to offer her his hospital in Switzerland. That the show brought Washington back after his highly contentious exit, which involved him referring to co-star TR Knight by a heinous gay slur, was truly surprising. Maggie's arrival. As the show said goodbye to Christina in the season 10 finale, it welcomed her replacement as the head of cardiothoracic surgery, Dr. Maggie Pierce. And when the character, played by Kelly McCreary, revealed to Richard James Pickens Jr., in the episode's final moments that she was Dr. Ellis Grey's daughter, asking if he knew the legendary doctor, he wasn't the only one stunned to learn that he had a daughter and that Mare had another sister. Derek's departure. Literally no one saw it coming when, with a handful of episodes left to air in season 11, Derek was killed off, the victim of a head-on collision just after rescuing a family on the side of the road involved in a car crash of their own. Patrick Dempsey had just recently extended his contract on the show, making his departure truly unexpected. Killing off Mare's husband may have been Shonda Rhimes' only feasible option to get rid of the character in a way that didn't render an 11-year love story completely worthless, but that didn't mean it hurt any less. Meredith's attack. As if Mare hadn't been through enough up to this point, in the 9th episode of season 12, she was violently attacked by a patient in a brutal episode that saw her jaw broken and then wired shut in order to restore her hearing. Her panic attack when her kids won't see her during her recovery was a stunning moment of acting from Ellen Pompeo. Alex's departure. How would the show explain Alex Karev's sudden absence after original star Justin Chambers walked away from his role midway through season 16? By having him write letters to wife Jo, Camilla Luddington, Mare and Bailey explaining that he'd gotten in contact with Izzy years after she ghosted and sent him divorce papers, only to learn that she'd been raising their twins all these years on a farm somewhere, and he'd chosen his newfound family over his life in Seattle. If anyone tells you they saw that coming, we'll show you a liar. The death of Dr. DeLuca. In season 17, fans watched as Dr. Andrew DeLuca, Giacomo Gianniotti, met his untimely end. After overcoming his mental health struggles, DeLuca found himself as an attending at Grey Sloan Memorial Hospital. Yet, in typical Grey's fashion, Dr. DeLuca's back-on-track life was cut tragically short when he was stabbed by a human trafficker's accomplice. Grey's Anatomy, primetime American television medical drama that debuted on the American Broadcasting Company ABC network in 2005. The series enjoyed top 10 ratings, earned numerous Emmy Award nominations, and won the 2007 Golden Globe for Best Drama. Grey's Anatomy's title was inspired by the classic medical text Grey's Anatomy and alludes to the show's main character, Meredith Grey, played by Ellen Pompeo. The program focuses on the personal and professional lives of surgical interns and their medical mentors. Other notable characters included Derek Shepherd, Patrick Dempsey, Miranda Bailey Chunder-Wilson, Richard Weber James Pickens Jr., Christina Young Sandra Oh, and Izzy Stevens Katherine Heigl. Most of the action takes place in Seattle Grace Hospital, where Meredith and her peers face obstacles, first as interns striving to become residents and later as residents who must define their career paths while mentoring interns of their own. Although the field of medicine is always a core component of the show's plots, much of the drama in Grey's Anatomy draws on the characters' personal tribulations. The show adopts a sex-driven and sometimes humorous treatment of its subject matter. The intense demands of the medical profession necessitate a strong support group, but the relationships that emerge often exacerbate the already difficult tasks of maturing in medicine and in life. The characters' love lives provide an ongoing saga as the medical staff fall in love with each other or, occasionally, with patients. The word gray in the show's title also highlights the complex situations in which Meredith and her colleagues find themselves, where there are no clear-cut black-and-white solutions. Grey's Anatomy was created by Shonda Rhimes, who became known for creating series that featured diverse casts and strong female characters. The show went through various cast changes over the years, including several high-profile departures. The success of Grey's Anatomy led to the spin-offs Private Practice, 2007-13, and Station 19, 2018. ER centered on the emergency room doctors, nurses, and staff of County General Hospital, a fictional Level 1 trauma center in Chicago. Known for its intensity, the series examined the fierce challenges and life-and-death decisions the staff faced on a daily basis in their busy metropolitan facility. Although medical emergencies regularly figured into the show's main plot, the narrative was also driven by other tensions. Some of these, such as crowded waiting rooms, staff shortages, and training new doctors, related to the practice of medicine, but other plot elements dealt with the characters' personal lives and relationships. The show was set almost entirely inside the hospital, with occasional scenes taking place elsewhere. Following the program's debut, the cast saw a complete turnover, with character departures caused by dramatic deaths. One was murdered by a patient, and emotional and often sudden resignations and terminations. High-profile guest stars, including Ewan McGregor, Steve Buscemi, James Woods, and Sally Field, were another staple of ER's success. In the mid to late 1990s, the series was the top-rated show on American television, boasting upward of 30 million viewers and winning many Emmy Awards, though its following significantly declined in later seasons. After 15 seasons on air, ER ended in 2009. ER provided a breakthrough for several of its cast members, most notably George Clooney, whose role as Dr. Doug Ross in the first 5 seasons propelled him to fame. In addition, Juliana Margulies' portrayal of head nurse Carol Hathaway in the first 6 seasons made her a TV star. Other actors whose careers were boosted by stints on ER included Eric LaSalle, 1994-2001, 2002-2009, Noah Weil, 1994-2006, 2009, Maura Tierney, 1999-2009, and Goran Visnjic, 1999-2008. St. Elsewhere, American television medical drama widely acclaimed for its unflinching treatment of life and death issues, its naturalistic visual style, and its humor. Among the most critically praised shows of the 1980s, St. Elsewhere aired for 6 seasons, 1982-88, on the National Broadcasting Company NBC network, strongly influencing the style and content of subsequent medical dramas. The show was created by Joshua Brand and John Falsey, who later created Northern Exposure 1990-95, and revolved around life at St. Eligius, a declining urban hospital in Boston that serves destitute, downtrodden patients. The show's name is medical world slang for non-teaching hospitals that serve undesirable patients. In addition to its realistic visual style, the program was praised for its complex and interconnected plotlines and its propensity for going beyond the conventions of traditional serial dramas, exemplified by its willingness to portray the failures of doctors and nurses in both their personal and their professional lives, and by the unexpected deaths of primary characters. St. Elsewhere was also known for its quirky humor, especially its pop culture references and self-referential in-jokes, and for the quality of its ensemble cast. The show's main characters included Dr. Mark Craig, played by William Daniels, Dr. Victor Ehrlich, Ed Begley, Jr., Dr. Donald Westfall, Ed Flanders, and Dr. Philip Chandler, Denzel Washington, in a career-changing role that propelled him from unknown bit actor to major movie star. In 1983, the show made television history by becoming the first primetime series to depict an AIDS patient, St. Elsewhere never climbed to the top of the ratings charts, finishing 49th or lower out of about 100 shows every year, and it remained on the air as long as it did, largely because of the attractiveness of its young, affluent core audience to advertisers. It was, however, a critical hit, garnering 63 Emmy nominations and 13 awards. It influenced both the style and the content of numerous other series, particularly subsequent medical dramas such as ER, which debuted in 1994, and Grey's Anatomy, which first aired in 2005. Marriage, a legally and socially sanctioned union that is regulated by laws, rules, customs, beliefs, and attitudes that prescribe the rights and duties of the partners and accord status to their offspring, if any. The universality of marriage within different societies and cultures is attributed to the many basic social and personal functions for which it provides structure, such as sexual gratification and regulation, division of labor between the sexes, economic production and consumption, and satisfaction of personal needs for affection, status, and companionship. Perhaps its strongest function concerns procreation, the care of children and their education and socialization, and regulation of lines of descent. Through the ages, marriages have taken a great number of forms. Historically and cross-culturally, most marriages have occurred between men and women, although increasing acceptance of gay and lesbian relationships led to the legalization of same-sex marriages in a number of countries in the 21st century. The Netherlands became the first country to legalize same-sex marriage on April 1, 2001. In the ensuing years, numerous other countries, including Canada, 2005, France, 2013, the United States, 2015, Germany, 2017, Taiwan, 2019, Cuba, 2022, and Thailand, 2025, followed suit. In addition, some countries extended benefits and obligations to same-sex couples by means of a registered partnership or civil union, both of which terms meant different things in different contexts. See also marriage law. Still, much of the terminology used by anthropologists to describe different marriage patterns assumes a heterosexual pairing. Societies vary on the number of partners an individual is allowed to have in marriage. In monogamous societies, a person may have only one spouse at a time. The religious or social strictures against remarriage after divorce or the death of a spouse in some cultures may further limit the number of marriage partners over the course of an individual's lifetime. Other societies allow for plural marriage or polygamy. The most common form of polygamy is polygyny, in which a man is married to multiple women at the same time. Polyandry, in which a woman is married to multiple men simultaneously, is comparatively uncommon. Neither of these marriage patterns should be confused with group marriage, an extremely rare social practice in which several men are married to several women. A number of cultures have a preference for particular relationships between spouses. Ideal matches have included those between cross-cousins, between parallel cousins, to a group of sisters in polygyny, or brothers in polyandry, or between different age sets. In exchange marriages, a sister and a brother from one family marry a brother and a sister from another. A variety of symbolic marriage forms, such as tree marriage, can also be found in some cultures. Marital customs and laws. Some form of marriage has been found in all human societies, past and present. Its importance can be seen in the elaborate and complex laws and rituals surrounding it. Although these laws and rituals are as varied and numerous as human social and cultural organizations, some universals do apply. The main legal function of marriage is to ensure the rights of the partners with respect to each other and to ensure the rights and define the relationships of children within a community. See also family law. Marriage has historically conferred a legitimate status on the offspring, which entitled the child to the various privileges set down by the traditions of that community, including the right of inheritance. In most societies, marriage also established the permissible social relations allowed to the offspring, including the acceptable selection of future spouses. Endogamy, the practice of marrying someone from within one's own tribe or group, is the oldest known social regulation of marriage. When the forms of communication with outside groups are limited, endogamous marriage is a natural consequence. Cultural pressures to marry within one's social, economic, and ethnic group are still strongly enforced in some societies. Exogamy, the practice of marrying outside the group, is found in societies in which kinship relations are the most complex, thus barring from marriage large groups that may trace their lineage to a common ancestor. In societies in which the large, or extended, family remains the basic unit, marriages are usually arranged by the family. The assumption is that love between the partners comes after marriage, and much thought is given to the socioeconomic advantages accruing to the larger family from the match. By contrast, in societies in which the small or nuclear family predominates, young adults usually choose their own mates. It is assumed that love precedes and determines marriage, and less thought is normally given to the socioeconomic aspects of the match. In societies with arranged marriages, the almost universal custom is that someone acts as an intermediary or matchmaker. This person's chief responsibility is to arrange a marriage that will be satisfactory to the two families represented. Some form of dowry or bride wealth is almost always exchanged in societies that favor arranged marriages. In societies in which individuals choose their own mates, dating is the most typical way to meet and become acquainted with prospective partners. Successful dating may result in courtship, which then usually leads to marriage. Marriage rituals. The rituals and ceremonies surrounding marriage in most cultures are associated primarily with fecundity and validate the importance of marriage for the continuation of a clan, people, or society. They also assert a familial or communal sanction of the mutual choice and an understanding of the difficulties and sacrifices involved in making what is considered, in most cases, a lifelong commitment to and responsibility for the welfare of spouse and children. Marriage ceremonies include symbolic rites, often sanctified by a religious order, which are thought to confer good fortune on the couple. Because economic considerations play an essential role in the success of child-rearing, the offering of gifts, both real and symbolic, to the married couple is a significant part of the marriage ritual. Where the exchange of goods is extensive, either from the bride's family to the bridegroom's or vice versa, this usually indicates that the freedom to choose one's marital partner has been limited and determined by the families of the betrothed. Fertility rites intended to ensure a fruitful marriage exist in some form in a number of ceremonies. Some of the oldest rituals still found in contemporary ceremonies include the prominent display of fruits or of cereal grains that may be sprinkled over the couple or on their nuptial bed, the accompaniment of a small child with the bride, and the breaking of an object or food to ensure a successful consummation of the marriage and an easy childbirth. The most universal ritual is one that symbolizes a sacred union. This may be expressed by the joining of hands, an exchange of rings or chains, or the tying of garments. However, all the elements in marriage rituals vary greatly among different societies, and components such as time, place, and the social importance of the event are fixed by tradition and habit. Thanks for watching this video. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.